talk about a contract or a transaction, there has to be conditions. Every transaction has to be governed by conditions. And the conditions to sell and buy, in order to be valid, the scholars looked into the evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah, and they came with the conclusion that there are 7 conditions that should be fulfilled. The first condition is consent, mutual agreement. So a transaction that is done under duress, under compulsion, this is not valid. Allah Azza wa Jal says, O you who believe, do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, but only in lawful business by mutual consent. It has to be an taradin minkum. There has to be acceptance. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, a sale can only be valid if it is done with mutual consent. So if there is mutual consent, then this transaction is accepted. Okay, what about if it was done under duress? If the seller is not willing? Well, if it is unjustly, then the transaction is invalid. But if it's just, and how could it be just? If someone buys a property on installments, or he mortgages his property in exchange of a loan, and the time is due and he's not paying off the loan, he's not paying his installments on time, there is hardship on the seller. I want my money. I'm not a charity organization, and he keeps on refusing to pay on time. Here, the Muslim ruler has the right to force that property to be sold and to give the seller what he deserves, his money, his wealth. Even if the person who mortgaged that property or who bought the item on installments and defaulted is not willing, this has no value, because he's the one who is a transgressing and the wrongdoer. The second condition is that each of the two parties, the buyer and the seller, should be in a state to deal with their property, and they're allowed to do this without a problem. What do we mean by that? Scholars say that a person, the one who is qualified to dispose of his wealth and to deal with it, should have 4 characteristics. Number 1, to be free, meaning he's not a slave. And number 2, he's an adult and not a child. He has reached the age of puberty. Number 3, he is of a sound mind. He's sane, so that a person who's insane would not be allowed to sell and buy. And finally, he has to be of a mature state of thinking. We have some adults who have reached the age of puberty and beyond, but they squander their wealth without any sense, without any maturity. Such people, we have to block them from such dealings. Now, a minor, without going to many details, because we could spend the whole day literally speaking about these conditions. But usually, a minor is what stands out from this, because a minor can only sell and buy if his guardian allows him to do so. So sometimes we see in videos a young child of the age of 10 going into a car dealer with a bag of money and buying expensive cars. He's a billionaire. Such a transaction is invalid. He has no right to deal with such wealth, even if it's his, because he has not reached the age of puberty. The exception is over petty small things. So when a mother sends her child to a grocery shop to buy a loaf of bread, this is negligible. Such transactions are fine and acceptable.